Recording in progress.
Hey, Dom, you want to read I'll call the June 22nd special meeting of the NCIP to order. You want to read the script?
Yes, thank you. Welcome to the June 22nd, 2023 meeting of the Monterey Neighborhood and Community Improvement Program. Our in-person rules tonight. The city of Monterey is committed to the safe attendance of its public meetings. Masks are encouraged for all who attend in person, regardless of vaccination status. We ask that attendees in the council chamber keep their phones and devices muted to prevent audio interference and feedback with the hybrid meeting. In our Zoom procedures this evening, the city of Monterey seeks to continue to offer virtual methods for public participation in meetings. If you aren't joining us in person here in the council chamber, there are two ways to virtually participate in this meeting. You might join the meeting directly on Zoom Gov using the Zoom app on your computer or mobile device. You can also call in to the Zoom meeting. To join the meeting on Zoom on your computer, smartphone, or telephone, use the link or phone number on the agenda at isearchmonterey.org. To call into the Zoom meeting, dial toll-free 833-568-8864, then enter the meeting ID, which is 161-843-6636 and the pound symbol or hashtag. And if prompted to enter a participant ID, press the hashtag symbol again. Detailed instructions on using Zoom are available at monterey.org/public meetings. To make a public comment this evening using the Zoom app, you can virtually raise your hand by pressing the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen. If you dialed in by phone, raise your hand by dialing *9 and then unmute yourself when called upon by dialing *6. You must do both. Public commenters will be muted until it is their turn to speak. Public speakers will be called in the order their hands are raised. Please stay within the time limit established for today's meeting, which we'll show using a countdown timer on the screen. If you are connected live on Zoom, the timer is accurate with no delay. Tonight's meeting is also streamed live on the city's YouTube account, which is accessible at youtube.com/City of Monterey. With an approximate 10-second delay, and also on Comcast Channel 25 with up to a 90-second delay. As always, we look forward to receiving your public comments.
Thank you, Dom. Okay, if we can go ahead and have roll call, please.
Hello. All right. Aguajiro Oaks. Alta Mesa.
Here.
Casanova Oak Knoll.
Here.
Deer Flat.
Here.
Del Monte Beach. Del Monte Grove, Laguna Grande.
Here.
Fisherman's Flats. Downtown.
Here.
Glenwood.
Here.
Monterey Vista. New Monterey.
Here.
Oak Grove.
Here.
Old Town.
Here.
Skyline.
Good evening.
And Via Del Monte.
Here.
Thank you.
I take it we have a quorum?
Yes.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is public comments. This is time set aside for anyone to address the NCIP on any item that is not on tonight's agenda, but and is in the purview of the NCIP. You'll have 3 minutes. I will see any public in the here. Is there any public with a hand raised online? Or I'd like to change things around a little bit. We'll do that afterwards since we've already called for it. Thank you for keeping me straight, though. Yeah. So anyone in the public who wishes to address us? Seeing none, we'll close public hearing and we'll go to approval of the minutes. We have the April 27th minutes in front of us. Does anyone have any changes, comments, issues with them? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Boy, we're moving quick
Motion
today.
to approve.
We have a motion to approve by
Second.
And a second. Any further discussion? Call for. Yes, Mr. Chair. Boy, he misses one meeting and he wants to take over. Call for the vote. Roll call, please.
Alta Mesa,
Aye.
Casanova Oak Knoll,
Aye.
Deer Flat,
Aye.
Del Monte Grove Laguna Grande,
Aye.
Downtown,
Aye.
Glenwood,
Here.
New Monterey,
Here.
Oak Grove, Old Town,
Here.
Skyline, and Via,
Wasn't at the meeting.
So I'm assuming ears are your eyes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fish Flats, eyes.
And Fatima, did you, yeah, Fisherman Flats is here.
oh, okay, and then Skyline,
Abstain, I wasn't at that meeting.
oh, okay, and Via Del Monte.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Motion carries, minutes are approved. We'll go to information reports and staff comments. Nothing? Okay. NCIP spokesperson report. The only thing I'll report on is we got a nice little write-up on one of our projects in the Monterey Bay Weekly or whatever they call it these days, which was great, talking about the beach mats and the aspect of being done. The only thing is in case they're actually covering this, the members of NCIP do not submit the projects or propose the projects. They said that we proposed all 154 projects voting night. It's general public, anyone can submit an NCIP project. So moving on then to public appearance items. First item is additional funding request for the old capital site master plan. Tom?
The old capital site master plan. Thank you. The old master site capital plan was an approved project. Last year, we allocated $75,000 toward the project when it was approved in September by City Council. The Parks and Recreation Department published a request for proposals back in March this year. There were 3 proposals were received. They were all above the $75,000 that was allocated toward the project. So we're here tonight to ask for additional funding of $40,000 to be able to award the contract. That's the bottom line.
Okay, and my understanding is we have 444,900 in contingency, which is where the funds would come from.
Correct.
But we also have as a proposed project another, how much for?
40.
No. I mean, in our last voting night, which has not been formally approved by council yet, we
Correct.
allocated more contingency. did we
Yes,
not?
we were talking about 600,000 is the number I recall.
So to bring it to
Funding.
total or to add to it.
To add to it.
Okay, so
Right.
while it's 444,000 right now, realize we have another 600,000 getting added to it as long as council doesn't, as long as council does not fail to approve that.
Correct.
Mm.
There's also, as noted in the report, $650,000 that's in the project ending balance account. So when projects are completed and there's funding available still, there's $650,000 in that account as
But-
well.
Traditionally, that would have been added to voting night to determine projects that would have been funded,
Okay. And we're still,
determining where that cutoff is.
yes.
Is there any member of the public that wishes to address us on the additional funding for the old capital site master plan? Are there any hands raised online? Okay, seeing none, open up to the commission. Go ahead.
Approval.
We have,
Oh.
I recognized a member for comments and
She was slow.
she was trying to figure out how to turn on her mic.
I'll
So,
second her.
I left that one broke. Which I have to work on. As the neighborhood representative for Glenwood and on an unofficial committee appointed by the former mayor, there's 7 of us. I really would like to see this whole capital project get pushed through and get done. We've waited too long. It's a beautiful 135 acres out there that we can do some marvelous things with, of hiking trails, bird tours, camping. It's a beautiful 135 acres that really need to be done properly. Unfortunately, we have no knowledge of what the Parks Department is going to do with that property. We've asked to have a seat at the table, but so far we've heard nothing. But we really would appreciate any additional funds. These 40,000 would really help us to get this through. The other part of it that we already have funding for is the cleanup, which is 250K. And this is going to be the second time we're going in to clean it up because of the homeless and stuff and the fire issues that are also in that area. So I really would appreciate your vote for this additional funding.
Okay. Then Tom, then Richard.
I'll second her. If you make a motion, I'll second it. You make a motion.
Or what? We make sure we have everyone who wishes to speak on it a chance to talk. And
Somebody else wants to speak.
Richard has his hand up. Go ahead, Richard.
Yes, I've been anxiously awaiting that this piece of land can be actually used by our residents. And I do hope that Parks and Recreation reaches out and gets more input from the community so that we can look at parking, access, camping, restrooms, and that people have an opportunity to utilize the last virgin pine forest on the peninsula. That's what this project is. It was given to us by Pebble Beach on the condition it only be used for recreational purposes. Though every city meeting I sit on somebody is saying, let's build housing on it. It was a gift, it's restricted. And all I'd like to point out on this cost overrun is around 50%. And the other cost overruns are 50 to 100% cost overruns. Consider that on our future is called inflation. And this is a little bit scary because I don't know what's coming down the pipe, but I'm all for this project. And I do hope they can do it in a reasonable amount of time so that our people can start using it. And I agree with every point that Lee made.
Thank
That's
you.
it.
Didn't want to cut you off. Sorry, Richard.
You didn't cut me off.
Tom, we have a motion by Fish Flats. Do we have a second? By Skyline Forest. Any further discussion? Not roll call, please.
Alta Mesa,
Aye.
Casanova Oak Knoll,
Aye.
Deer Flat,
Vote to approve.
Del Monte Grove Laguna Grande,
Aye.
Downtown,
Aye.
Fisherman's Flat,
Aye.
Glenwood,
Aye.
New Monterey,
Aye.
Oak Grove,
Aye.
Old Town,
Aye.
Skyline,
Yes, please.
and Via Del Monte.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries. The additional funding is recommended to council for being approved. Okay, next item is additional funding for Pacific Streetlight, $20,000.
Thank you. And this is very similar, the report for this one, but last year, this project was approved with a budget of $10,000. Earlier, well, it was the last fall, actually, staff went out to meet with our consultant who would be the one installing the streetlight, and they looked at the utility pole that was identified and said, oh, we can't put a light on there. It's not strong enough. It was actually like a support pole. It's supporting the one with all the electrical equipment on the top of it. So this would be to fund installing a new streetlight, a brand new pole, getting power to it, and then putting it up. So the cost was originally approved at $10,000. We're requesting an additional $20,000 to make sure that we can complete the project. Again, the NCIP contingency account is 444,000. And
860. No, never mind.
no,
It was more than $40 that we did, yeah, on the last one.
oh yes, so it'll be around 404,000 at this point.
Well, at this point, we'll open up to the public. Does any member of the public wish to address us on this funding request? Do we have any hands raised online? None. I'll bring back to the commission for discussion and motion and action. We have a motion from Skyline to approve it. Richard, go ahead.
Oh, I just want to comment to correct the record. I just looked at the participants. There's more people online. Oak Grove is present, so they should be included in the vote.
They were.
That's all.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's seconded by Casanova Oak Knoll. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Alta Mesa,
Aye.
Casanova Oak Knoll,
I
Deer Flat,
Vote to approve.
Del Monte Grove Laguna Grande,
Aye.
Downtown,
Aye.
Fisherman's Flat,
Aye.
Glenwood,
Aye.
New Monterey,
Aye.
Oak Grove,
Aye.
Old Town,
Aye.
Skyline,
Yes, please.
Via Del Monte.
Aye.
Okay, motion's carried. The funding is approved. Let's go on to number 5, which is additional funding for the Fish Flats traffic calming plan. And yes, Tom, we know it's crazy to be spending money for archaeological resources or whatever it is for a traffic calming plan. So I'll take the words out of your mouth beforehand. Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you. And that is the issue with this one. Again, this project was approved. Oh, this project was approved originally in 2013, and we asked for additional funding last year in 2022. The total budget was $70,000. We've learned this year that a archaeological assessment is needed to complete the CEQA determination for this project.
Hmm.
So we're requesting this evening an additional $15,000 from the contingency account to allocate toward this project, bringing the total project balance up to $85,000.
Okay. We'll open the matter up to the general public. Is there any member of the public who wishes to address us on this additional funding request?
Please note, the original submission by our former president, who passed away about 5 years ago, was 2013. We are dying to get this thing to the city council
we're in-
approved.
We're in public comment right now. We'll open it up to the commission here in a minute. Any member of the public who wishes to address on this, please either come forward or raise your hand
Yes.
online. No one's rushing forward. And is there anyone with a hand online? Okay, so then I'll bring it back and take it away, Tom.
Move approval.
Okay. And we have a second. I just want to make one comment. This will not be the only project that's going to be impacted from having to do archaeological, is it not? Everything is basically going to have it happen. So it's not just traffic studies. It's the joys of the CEQA review process. Let's go ahead and any other comments? Not, let's go ahead and roll call, please.
Alta Mesa,
Aye.
Casanova Oak Knoll,
I
Deer Flat,
Vote to approve.
Del Monte Grove Laguna Grande,
Aye.
Downtown,
Aye.
Fisherman's Flat,
Aye.
Glenwood,
Aye.
New Monterey,
Aye.
Oak Grove,
Aye.
Old Town,
Aye.
Skyline,
Yes, please.
and Via Del Monte.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Funding's approved. We'll go on to the next additional funding request, which is 15,000 for additional funding for the Mar Vista Reconstruction Design Project.
Correct. And this is very similar to the last what item we just discussed. This is $15,000 for an archaeological assessment. This would be for the traffic calming portion of the project is the Mar Vista, I'm sorry, Reconstruction Design Project. But part of the scope included updating the traffic calming plan for the Monterey Vista neighborhood. So in order to complete the traffic calming plan, we need the archaeological assessment again to get that complete so we can bring it to city council and have it approved. We're asking for an additional $15,000 for this project, bringing total funding to $263,000.
At this point, we'll open up to general public. Any member of the public wish to address us on this matter, please either approach the podium or raise your hand. Is there anyone in general public with a hand raised? If not, I'll bring it to the commission, and Mr. Russello, you have your hand raised.
Yes, maybe Tom can explain an archaeological survey doing a study plan. Do we have to do another archaeological study if we dig up the road to put in a median, or does this one cover that too?
We would have to do another one at a later date.
It's nice employment for archaeologists, isn't it?
It's known as the Archaeologist Whole Employment Act. And that,
Perfect. That's all.
it's actually, we've always had it for usually a construction time frame and only in areas of the city designated an archaeological zone, which unfortunately the city designated most of the city one.
Right.
So even if you put in a new pole going into a sidewalk, you needed to do it before, but now it's extended to studies which may result in a project. So enjoy. Okay, any other comments or motions? Dennis?
Actually, what do you do to do an archaeological study of something that you're not digging into the ground?
I think it's, I don't know. I'm not an archaeologist, but I'm assuming that they'll look at any records that are available of what's been found nearby the area, and they'll just do a more thorough, like qualified search of what is there or what could be there. That's all I can.
So effectively, it's a search to see whether or not there's any records that indicate that that site may or may not.
That's
have-
my understanding, but I'd be happy to let you know when the study is underway and
Yeah,
we
just-
can.
Because if it's a study to find out if something else was there for 15 grand, where do I sign up?
Money grabs.
You're in the wrong business.
Rick? I think it's mostly to make sure there aren't any Indians or natives buried there.
But
Could be.
we don't even know that anything's going to be dug yet. It's
Yeah.
a study of
Exactly.
potential projects that you're going to have to do one before any of them, but it's
Mhm.
unfortunately, it's come back and it's a new requirement that has to happen. So
I have a question. Does the city have a contract with an archaeological company or do you put it out to bid?
We have put it out. So again, this would be handled by the planning department, but the planning department has an on-call contract that was put out to bid. A number of firms submitted proposals. One was chosen. So now we have an on-call contract that we use when situations like this come up. So it happens frequently. So we'll be contacting that firm to do the study is my understanding.
do we have a motion?
Also move just to stop the pain.
Okay. Motion and seconded to approve the funding. Roll call, please.
Alta Mesa,
Steve.
Casanova Oak Knoll,
Aye.
Deer Flats,
What to approve?
Del Monte Grove Laguna Grande,
Aye.
Downtown,
Aye.
Fisherman's Flats,
Aye.
Glenwood,
Aye.
New Monterey,
Aye.
Oak Grove,
Aye.
Old Town,
Aye.
Skyline,
Yes, please.
and Via Del Monte.
Aye.
Motion carries. Funding's approved. Next item on the agenda is discussion of project nominations for next cycle. I asked this to be on, and this is in relation to how do we want to continue handling the defunded projects moving forward? The last two cycles, they have automatically gone in, been submitted as a project by the city. No one had to do anything. I guess my question to you all is, for discussion, is do we want to continue doing that for another year? For how many more years? Do we want to just now have them be resubmitted by anyone? So any neighborhood could resubmit any of those projects, but we don't automatically have every single one, some of which may no longer have a person submitting or wanting it. So I thought after doing it for 2 years automatically, at least we should talk about it and see how we want to move forward. So I just kind of open it up for general discussion.
Are you gonna-
We probably should open it to general public first. Yes. Open for general public to discuss this agenda item. Is there any member of the public who wishes to address us? Don't see anyone coming to the podium. Is there anyone online?
We have one hand online.
Go ahead, whoever that is.
John Sovereign, go ahead.
Hi, this is John Sovereign. I'm a resident of Monterey. And I appreciate the difficulty that the committee is dealing with respect to the unfunded or the legacy projects that were removed. This funding was taken back during the COVID crisis. I have two comments. One is, just for the sake of consistency, I think it would be a mistake to change the way that these are being handled. I think that, you know, it would be more clear to continue treating them the way that they have in the past 2 years. That said, I would like to know what is the total unfunded, you know, projects, you know, at this point in time, you know, what would be the burden to fund all the legacy projects? I think the city council is, they are responsible for what happened to these projects. I think they should support the funding of those projects. Obviously, you know, so you guys have spent a lot of time and energy, you know, vetting those projects. There may be a few that, you know, no longer, you know, are, you know, should be, you know, move forward, but I think it's to the city council to resolve this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sovereign. And Tom, do you happen to have a rough idea of?
I don't, and it will change in a couple of months, like after this cycle. I know that back in 2020, when council defunded the projects, they removed about $9.3 million worth of projects at that time. Last year, I didn't bring the numbers with me tonight, but there were maybe a dozen, I think, projects that from that defunded list that were funded again. Let's say it that way. So I would guess there's still several $1 million at least, probably more than 5 or 6.
Okay. And our budget this last year cycle was about 6 million.
Right.
So I think originally when it was defunded, we figured it would take 100% of the budget several years in order to fully fund all those back. So just hopefully that helps you with a bit of an idea of the magnitude, Mr. Sullivan. Just any other member of the public? None, let's bring it back to the commission. Richard, you have your hand up? Go ahead, Richard.
I'm sorry, I was muted. This year on NCIP, 2 defunded projects were funded. The Casanova Oakdale Park fence project, and we also submitted the North Fremont flooding project, which was a previous project, which was going to be a dry well project, but it wasn't going to solve the flooding issue. So we actually canceled that at the beginning of this year. And that was a large project, but it actually came in about 20 times higher than we estimated for that project, and it didn't solve the problem. I think the hardest thing to look at here is wasting thousands of hours of human time that these projects were fought over, discussed in the public at meeting after meeting. I really want to go at least one more year with them on the board, but I would ask each neighborhood to go through, which we did in January, but go through it harder this year. A lot of projects were refunded this year. Hopefully the council will approve them. Hopefully the council won't take any money for financial emergency reasons. There's so many unknowns here, but I just hate to waste those hours. A lot of those projects that are defunded are still good projects. So I'm not going to cut it down tonight. I don't see it. And I favor at least doing one more year. And we don't have to have detailed estimates on it. We just have to have people who stand up and lobby for it so we can judge its importance when we vote. Yeah, it's those people, we're standing on their shoulders. All those chairs you're in had other people in it. And we shouldn't erase what they accomplished just because we got defunded, and we want to look at things new all the time. But a lot of those other projects are good projects. So I'm in favor at least one more year.
Thank you. Janier?
Yeah, so I actually am in favor of keeping the defunded projects automatically into the next cycle and kind of doing that in perpetuity. And asking the individual neighborhoods to go back to their associations and see
Recording in progress.
and see if there are any projects that the neighborhood would agree to remove. That way we can kind of get rid of things that maybe aren't as important, but continue to have the defunded projects eligible to be voted on in the next cycle. And then I also just remember hearing a lot of anger and frustration about money being taken away without there seeming to be any plan discussed by the city council and how to return that money. And I don't know how that conversation can be started or get on, the city council agenda, but if there is a way to allocate a certain extra amount of money each year that would go directly towards defunded projects. So I kind of envision like two parallel systems where there's a list of defunded projects and money going towards that every year to try to get those projects done. In addition to reconsidering the defunding projects each cycle so that there's kind of two opportunities for projects to potentially be funded. I do think it's, as other people have said, it's a waste of a lot of time and energy that people have spent in the past to advocate for these projects, to want these projects done. I know some of the defunded projects from New Monterey, the person that originally submitted the project is deceased. And that's really sad that, you know, they couldn't see their project come to fruition. So I think we want to try to honor that and see if maybe there's a way to kind of do both. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I don't know if it's possible, but I do think it would be in good faith of the city to do something more proactive in trying to recover the money that was taken at that time.
Thank you. We'll do David right here, and then we'll go to Luz.
Okay, I mean, we've had a lot of conversations about this, but there seems to be an onus being put on city council when the reality was when COVID hit, it was I mean, we needed to make budget just for payroll. So it had to come out. So this wasn't just an arbitrary decision. Council, and hearing from public, or not public, from our Parks and Rec this year, coming to the NCIP often for budget, just because, you know, they're trying to improve our parks and they just, again, they're trying to meet payroll and don't have a lot of excess funds for improvements of the parks. So oftentimes we're a pot of money they come towards. So I just don't see where city council is going to come unless some, you know, windfall occurs in the budget. I don't see them ever allocating. It's just the reality. We had to do what we did. I think for the last 2 years, we've been honest brokers in trying to go back and take a look, but we recognize times changed and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, some of those came off this year in the cycle just because either the advocate was gone, moved away, or as we said, some into the neighborhoods you really want those. I'm actually going to advocate the way, you know, this was proposed, that if they are important projects, rather than just keeping them on the rolls, why don't we go through the 1 year of taking them off? But if a city or a neighborhood or an advocate really wants to see this again in future NCIP cycles, that it come back. And if there's a way we can annotate it, that this was a defunded project, but it's still a priority for the community. And that way there, because as Richard Rosello said, there's a lot of overhead that went into it, but if we keep bringing this back, that's more overhead for us to go through all that projects with all the new ones that are coming in. So I kind of advocate for, hey, let's really see what are the priorities rather than just continuing to carry them.
Okay. Luz, go ahead.
Yes, I noticed that during the recycling, I shouldn't use that word, the recycling of the projects submitted in the past, some of them changed, and even maybe one, I might be wrong, was withdrawn. So I understand all the projects are very important. And so they need to be resubmitted and kind of make sure they are still in effect as before, or maybe change them a little. Automatically moving them, I think some of them change after 2-3 years or more. So yes, kind of resubmitting and make sure they are still updated. Thank you.
Okay. Any other members of the commission have April?
Just looking back on the two from my neighborhood, that one person has expired and the other one is currently not advocating for it, but I think maybe it's our job as reps to go back and look at the list from our neighborhoods and say, contact the people when possible and say, or our neighborhood associations and say, this was proposed. Is this something still that you want to be valid, or would you rather have this just go away? But I think we could handle it in our individual neighborhoods and either keep it or get rid of it.
I have a question. John Sovereign, is he a member of the public or is he a member of the commission?
No. Public.
Public. I get Mr. Sovereign, I see your hand up, but we already closed the public hearing portion of it. So. Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that we need to wash these out at least one more year now that we've kind of settled down. And I think Rich Rosello's comments were right on the money. that we might accidentally delete something that we really need to take another closer look at. And also, one of the things that went in the past that went into getting some of these projects approved was on the cost, when we still had contributions put in by neighborhood when we had so much per
Oh, yeah.
person. So some of that could have wound up having an impact on some of these projects getting approved. I'd like to at least continue to look at all the projects in all the neighborhoods through at least next year. And then we make another decision, talk about this again next year at the end of the cycle and see whether we want to continue it. But I'm not anxious to make a decision tonight to delete things. Thank you.
I'm the one who asked, it was on the agenda really for us to have a discussion. I don't have a necessarily one way or the other. I just do have a problem of it going on forever being resubmitted. So I think we need to think how we're doing it. And it's never been a scenario of deleting anything. It would be, any of these projects could be submitted again. And I agree, having a way of indicating it was previously done at that point is something. I think we need to come up with a decision of how we're going to do it. We do not need to do it tonight. I think we should plan on next cycle having them all on there. But I think we do need to start thinking about how we want to do things moving forward in a formal way that the public knows, the neighborhoods know, and all the rest. The other thing is getting all these redone. That's up to us. It's up to us to vote on them for projects. And, anyone in the public can submit new projects. We determine, each neighborhood determines what they're going to vote on. So, we need to make sure we're looking at those and treating them with the deference that they deserve, even though we may or may not necessarily personally have an attachment to a specific project, but they were funded. And at the end of the day, it's up to us, because as much as I would love to say, City Council, you need to refund these because you're the one who took the money. The city is not rolling in money, and they're looking at doing all kinds of other things. So as much as that would be great, if we're going to wait for that to happen to do it, I think we're going to be waiting for a very long time. Dang, I provoked some comments. That wasn't the intent. That's why I try to wait to the end. But go ahead.
You did good. I agree that we ought to keep doing this for one more year. Give it a shot. But with the caveat that the neighborhoods go back and look at their projects and review them. The situation may have changed. Something may have gotten fixed and you don't need it anymore, or they took the tree out, or the city's already put different lights in for safety and traffic. But I think we should, or the person that submitted it is not available to have this discussion with. But I think the neighborhoods should go back, look at and review what you got. Maybe you need to change it some more because there's something else that has to be done also to make it a total good project. But I think let's keep them here. Then after that, think about going through the list, because we've had a list from 20 years ago that stuff's still on the list. Reviewing those. Do they still need to be there? How much is actually done? Are they viable project? Just reviewing the whole scope of the projects that are on our forever list. Thank you.
Good. Dennis, then Mildomani.
Are we allowed to vote on something tonight?
It was agendized for discussion or for action?
Just for discussion.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we don't, if the idea is to keep doing it the way we're doing it, no votes required.
I'd like to do something a little more certain. Let's carry them for the third year, Spaceball, 3 strikes, you're out. And then let's put them off in the 4th year so that the public knows what we're up to.
I think what we will need to do is put it as an actual agenda item on the August meeting when we come back on here, and to do it at that point. There's still plenty of time in advance for the next one.
But I think that's the fairest thing to do in terms of public expectation for what we're up to. And it honors the fact that we've gathered the public input. And if there's an outcry that they want to keep it in the 4th year, God bless, we'll keep it. But let's get that public outcry to find out whether or not there is demand for that product in the 4th year.
Okay.
Yes, I concur with most of all the statements already made.
I've got a couple that are from eons ago. And the city has no record. Who submitted it, the description, what they want, it's just a project title. So they agree, neighborhoods need to scrub it, relook it, and then drop those.
Tom?
I'd like to, rather than wait till August to do this, we ought to do it at the kickoff meeting in January. If we're gonna do it.
What do you mean, wait until,
What-
August is much quicker than the kickoff meeting in January.
Pardon?
August is in a couple months versus 6 months from now.
I'm saying by kickoff meeting next January.
So you're saying not to agendize it for our next meeting in 2 months?
I don't think we need to do it in August.
I think we should just get it out of the way, but that's
Your call.
Mike, as you said. It's also not going to be a big meeting, so. Richard, go ahead.
Yeah, if I'm going to study the list, in August, we should have a cutoff point on this year's voting. And then I'll know which projects are alive and which ones are dead. And then I'll know what to sort, but I don't know where that line's going to be at the cut line. So in August, if we can have that prior to the meeting, then I can vote on how to move forward for the following year. But I have to know what made it and what didn't make it.
Well, I think in the discussions that we've been having, I don't hear anyone saying that for next cycle, we don't keep doing it with an automatically put it up on the board. So the question is, are we going to give notice at that point that for the year after it changes? So.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard a single comment saying we should change it for this next cycle.
Yeah.
So I can't tell the future, but that might be a good indicator of where it's going. Okay, I'll close discussion. We'll move on to committee member comments. Anyone? Good.
One day late,
And then Richard.
happy summer.
Okay, Richard.
Yeah, I'm afraid I want to give a little tiny bit of history. It'll be short. In 1985, it was proposed to the voters of Monterey to change the charter, raise the TOT tax, take 16% of that tax and put it into the NIP, now the NCIP. The shoulders we're standing on is the Part B of the 1985 Charter Amendment. And that was to freeze the VAF zone. And a lot of you weren't participating in that battle. But the battle was whether Monterey was going to have a coastline at all or none at all. There were 19 hotels in the planning queue that you don't see today. And that was the Verga Hotel, the San Carlos Hotel, the Del Monte Hotel, and it goes on and on. 19 hotels and motels. We would not have had a coast. And those people were in a political party. I was part of it. Some of you were. We were called environmentalists. We wanted to protect our coastline. So part of what created NCIP is the Part B. And I think in this change culture where we want to do everything new, sometimes we have to look back on how we got where we are. And I have the plans to some of those hotels if anybody wants to see them. But in those days, some of the hotels were designed with casinos. And you know the people that come in and take over casinos. That's what we were facing when we passed this charter amendment. Some of those guys were not pleasant. But in those years, anyone could get a loan to build a hotel. They were throwing money around. But Monterey's a better place. Maybe we went too far, but at least we stopped those 19. Well, I'll tell you Part B at the next meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Richard. And actually, one of them was to go across the entrance of Fisherman's Wharf 2, with that hotel spanning that entrance to that wharf, that entire beach.
5 stories.
would have been hotel.
We'll talk about losing the window in the bay at one point.
One thing that's coming up that was at the city council meeting Tuesday night that all the neighborhoods need to be aware of is the draft rental or draft housing element is supposed to be put out the middle of next month. And the deadline is the end of the year. And I attended most of the meeting on Tuesday. And I've been 2 or 3 previous cycles on housing element plans. And the consultant, I thought he was out in left field. He's got proposed redevelopment. There was no consideration of jobs versus housing. And I pointed that out. Only one member of the city council has gotten back to me since the Tuesday meeting. But I think the city is way off on its plans, and every neighborhood needs to really look at what's in the draft plan and what's proposed. So just a heads up on that.
Because actually what's being proposed would drastically change the nature of the city of Monterey. Good.
I'll open the can of worms for this evening. It's Thursday after all. I would like to inquire how we are going to get NCIP projects repaired. NCIP didn't have the money, the city doesn't have the money. Do we need to start putting money, part of our budget that we get aside for repairing things? Or instead of repairing something, let's just drop another $20,000, $30,000 to buy a whole new one when we could have saved that money by just repairing something. If we can kind of discuss it, look at it down the road, doesn't need to be on the agenda. I'm getting a lot of different answers from people, and that's why I'm concerned. I was informed recently to fix radar signs. And Richard, you got a beauty in your neighborhood that's not working. We've got a lot of archaic traffic calming signs, the radar signs, as I'm going to call them. There's different kinds. But what I've been told is because the homeless are taking the solar power out to their encampments, et cetera. Now the city's looking at taking parts from other radar signs and putting them to repair other signs. That doesn't solve the issue. Because say for an example, if they took Richard's, apart from Richard's one, and put it in mine on Iris Canyon, well, Richard's is still broken. It's not fixing the situation. So just if we could look at the can of worms and see what maybe possibilities we could start developing or putting money aside or so.
Repair is not a capital project.
I know.
We can only fund capital projects.
Right. But I've been told that it's an NCIP project, so they have to pay for the repair, quote and unquote. So thank you very much, folks.
Okay. Any other general comments? I have none. Seeing none, we're adjourned. Our next meeting is August 10th.